Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, the 4th of July, 2022. And so for my American friends, I hope you're celebrating still today, despite it being Monday. And yeah, so a lot on the go in the last few days. Another almost 6 hour long video on YouTube that I watched at like 1.5 speed, but just again, more stuff on this flat earth plane, and like just like more science debunking this globe earth theory that we've been fed for the last couple of generations. I'm not sure why and who it benefits, but it is what it is. And just on that flat earth thing as well, like just this also being like a multi-dimensional artificial reality that's largely controlled by toroidal fields like electromagnetism, with some kind of dome or firmament up above us where there is light being reflected and projected. And so and then just off of the top of my head for flat earth stuff, like again, these videos are so long, there was some redundant information in this one from previous ones I've seen, but just again, more projects and more research done proving that we can see well beyond the distances that NASA and the government claims that we can see based on the curvature of the Earth, and even submarines being able to see each other in the abyss, in the ocean. Because a lot of people claim too that there's like a lot of like mountainous areas and that's most of the ocean floor and stuff like that, but that's not true. 70% of it is not like that. And submarines and animals or whatever they can see each other at long distances, and even in our own world, right? There's like salt flats in areas, you know what I mean, that are like hundreds of miles long, and you see beyond, and wind turbines in oceans between 8 and like just under 12 miles, um, turbines in the ocean, and then being able to see them, you know, and so even like with looming and mirages and light refraction and optical illusions, all these things that are being claimed to kind of like benefit like the globe earth theories, these have all been debunked, like widely debunked, and well beyond the distances that we would be able to calculate, with like based on where we are, or the lenses of the camera and the distances. And anyway, so the science videos that I've shared on my Instagram just recently, you're more than you're more than welcome to take a look at that. And so there's a lot of stuff online that is not remotely accurate, that makes flat earthers look stupid. I'm not gonna lie, but like the algorithms have changed in the last couple of years because they know that there's more and more information coming out, so they want to make it look like, you know, like what first pops up on Google, you know what I mean? If you're just clicking on those and you're looking at these like discs or these like pizza models of like what people claim like the flat earth is, like that's not what we think. That is not what we think at all. And so it's frustrating because like that just completely dismisses the like a lot of the science that's debunking a lot of the claims. So even with space travel, Buzz Aldrin, like he's admitted that he didn't go to the moon. Like it's all like that video even like shows it again. And he's an actor. And Dan Faulkner, like PhD astrophysicist, blah blah blah, like talks about like curved Earth and like how flat earthers are so like ridiculous, and like and how like he's never been, you know, able to like not answer a question. But like first question a guy asks him, like doesn't even have a college degree. It's just like, you know, how can you contain like pressure like in this globe earth model essentially. And he wasn't able to answer it. And the guy was like, ladies and gentlemen, Dan Faulkner, the, you know, PhD astrophysicist, whatever, lying to us about space travel and in our own environment, our own Earth, just for profit. And Chris Hadfield too, he's an actor, and there's a lot of video footage too of him like where he's in space or in like the like that station, and like everything is zero gravity. But if you look at like even a pair of scissors, like a classic example, it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing if it was in fact the case. And so it's a simulated environment that they do here on Earth. And there's even cosmonauts and astronauts and other people from other countries that are on the record in interviews saying like I didn't expect these questions, but but say like 100% of the Earth is flat and that we've never went beyond our own Earth. So we haven't been on the moon. We haven't been, like there's been no satellites on Mars. None of this stuff. It's lies. And even showing footage of evidence that shows like these balloons with helium and like the satellites that we have, like that are tons and tons and tons like in weight. And that is what is flying around the world and floating around the world, and they're getting to be like longer periods of time where they could stay up in the air, but it used to be like 50 some days at the most, and I think now Google has it, or NASA, whatever, like that it's like 100 days with these big balloons, but they drop all over the place and they've caused damage to a lot of villages and cities, and it's covered up, and just like so many old ancient ruins are covered up, and now like military bases and like infrastructure like completely put over it just to cover up a lot more lies. And so oh yeah, and so even the Van Allen belt, like even astronauts saying like oh my god, it was like the stupidest comment ever. What was it again? Oh yeah, like when we went up and they would like the guy was asked like, so you went beyond the Van Allen belt and like you didn't feel anything, and he's like, no, I didn't feel anything. So like no radiation, like there were like no impacts at all, like, and he's like, no, he's like, oh, but it wasn't discovered yet. When we went up in space. I'm just like, what? Oh, the Van Allen belt, the radiation fucking belt. Um, oh my god, like it wasn't discovered yet. So just like gravity, just like magnetism, like, oh, because it wasn't discovered yet by us, like it didn't exist. Like we're so ridiculous. And by the way, gravity likely not real either. And so it's hard for me to explain this stuff, but like there's a lot more science that debunks it, and just like essentially because of the mass of the apple, you have to look at that and the space it takes up, like in the density or mass. And so like Isaac Newton, like he saw the apple drop on the ground, and then it's like, oh, it's being pulled because of gravity or whatever. But what he didn't factor in is it was in a state of like it was like being held up, I guess, and because it was heavier than air, and because an apple's heavier than air, and because of like the molecular structure of air, like and there's a lot of water obviously in like the air, but it's lighter, and so even the balloons, like helium is lighter than like the air, how it's made up here, and so like that's why they float, and hot air balloons float, and there's so many factors. But where was I going with this? Oh yeah, and so like but if the apple would have like landed, for example, in like a stream or a lake, then he would have seen that because the apple was less dense than the water that's below it. That is why it's floating, right? And so like he missed that point. He only got like half the assessment, half the theory, and didn't really factor in just the like the density or the mass or whatever of objects in the environment that they like, the space that they take up. And so and how some things, like even though a ship, for example, like in an ocean, it can float even though like it's heavier than a pebble, but a pebble would float in the ocean because of the density and the molecular makeup, right? And so if we were less dense, we would likely be able to like fly or hover. Actually, and like another interesting note about hovering or aerodynamics, like by virtue of like even planes, for example, some things can fly aerodynamically because of different structures and designs, and then others can levitate or float almost, and that's bees, right? And so bees, like they're heavier, but they have these little wings, and so they don't fly. They build up energy like a hollow space in their chest cavity, and like this energy, like that, or this vibration, like that builds up, like makes them denser, or like puts more space, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, where they become able to like float, like use that to become lighter, or whatever you want to call it, and float up, and very interesting. And so it would be so yeah. So if we looked at that more, and even the impact of electromagnetism within this multidimensional realm that's holographic, it's cellular, digital based, doesn't matter. It's all created the same creator. And so, oh God, I've already like dispelled so many things, and so I don't even know what else I could possibly do with like the whole flat Earth stuff. Like even by virtue of being able to see the moon, and daylight, that like I've mentioned, and the curvature and the distances that we can see so many different objects, whether it be like wind turbines or cities or boats or um, lighthouses, and able to discuss like the differences between looming and mirages and actual like optical like facts, and then debunking like the curved earth theory too, with like with the, because of convex versus concave lens versus fisheye lens, and how like that shows, you know, curvatures, not only of like certain earth photos, but also like even like ropes and stuff like that of like balloons that they say that they're going up in. These are also things in the picture that are curving. So we gotta factor these things in. Oh, and I just had another thing too, where I was gonna go. Oh yeah, and so even the guy that has claimed that he's been in space and taken space photography, like the Google images guy, like he has like this craft that he uses, like he was asked in interviews too about the pressure locking systems in it, and like how he's able to like open and close it if he's in space, and like or if there was a leak, what would he do, and like the mechanical like breaching system. Like he had no idea how to answer these questions, and he was just dismissing it like, oh, just very complicated engineering. And again, this is what intellectual bullies do, and that are bad actors, but like just to dismiss like valid questions that people have. And he wasn't able to answer them, but he also has admitted, right, too, because you know, like that's also like people say like flat earth, well, haven't you seen the photos and the images and the videos? But like even the guy that creates them, it's like he himself says that these are CGI. They are manipulated overlays that he creates based on like smaller frames and stuff like that, and then he puts it all together, and it's very much using like the same overlays templates for the planets, and I've shared that too, right, where it's very similar lines with like this dot like in all the planets, and how it's easily like altered, like how you can make lava look like, you know, a sun, or even an apple look like a sun or Mars, and or you can make like water or waterfalls look like Neptune, or and anyway, there's so much to unpack, but I really do hope that people look at my like the videos that I've been sharing on social media. It's on LinkedIn too. That's my last video I posted. And ironically, the flat Earth theory stuff is actually what got me kicked off LinkedIn in December to begin with. So like I don't know how long my LinkedIn profile is going to be up again. uh, but because like in helium, NASA's the largest consumer of helium, and it's because of these satellite balloons and stuff like that they use. And so like they have a lot to lose if we discover that they're lying to us, and it's manipulated. Like astronauts have admitted, even Buzz Aldrin admitted to a child, and there's a footage out there of this, and she asked like, why can't we go back to the moon, and he said, well, it's because we didn't go to begin with, and that's just how it is. And that's just how it went, or whatever. And yeah, like there's just so much information out there to look at. I've done like my own experiments too, just like even with like crystal pyramids, and like different ways of like looking at them, and looking at like rainbows and lights and sacred geometry and stuff like that I could see on my walls and my roof. And and then we're on a stationary plane too, so there's also evidence too with these monuments that are made like all throughout the world, and astrolabes, which is actually the first major computer. I have an astrolabe. They're pretty cool. I should show it in my next video. But this is a way of like there's so many uses for it. There's like over 1,000 uses with like astrology, navigation, horoscopes, even randomly, but seasons, cycles, and accurate for thousands and thousands of years. And so and you could see with like the North Star, whatever you want to call it, how like like people have shown footages with cameras where like one star in the center does not move, and everyone around it moves perfectly. And so this proves also, or it would lead one to believe that we're on a stationary kind of like flat plane with like this dome, like maybe above and below, but with definitely with toroidal fields, like electromagnetic fields, impacting this structure, whatever it is, with something in the middle, like a large, like magnetic mountain or volcano of sorts, but not with lava, with something else possibly in it. Um, and then like even our dome being something with all the moisture and water, like that being able to like magnify certain structures too that we're seeing above us. Um, yeah, just like so much research being put into it. And I'm trying to put this in a video in under 20 minutes. So yeah, on that note, I think I'll leave it at that because it's a lot of information already to unpack. But I think the reason why, like, I'm insisting that we like take a look at these videos and not the ones that are being like not the Google ones, but get off censored browsers, get an upgraded VPN, and or again just look at my site, Don Do So. You have to type in my name in full because I'm very censored, and you get a warning too, like this. It's like, are you sure you want to follow this person? She's very crazy, and then you can like so do what you want to do, but it gets you to these videos in any case. And once we get past this and then we see that we're being lied to about something so like that is easily disproven, but we're just so distracted about convincing ourselves like a one reality. But I was you, right? Like for anyone that's still believing the globe earth model, like I was you. And I've done so much research trying to like reinforce like my beliefs because I'm like, there's no way it was that fucking stupid. Like the way this stuff, like this, just like so easy. It's just too obvious. And turns out, like like I things that I dismissed before, like just so blatant, like in plain sight, and just like all very interesting things to consider in this time of my life. But it's been a few years now that I've been more on this path, but it was just like very awkward about even admitting it because like anytime I did, and even when I do even now, even today, like people are just like, it's a globe, you are ridiculous. Like I'm gonna block you soon. I'm like, well, don't. Can you just look at it or hear it out? And because like even like with like the arguments that people have like for globe earth stuff when they're talking with these flat earthers that you discuss are ridiculous, their points are they're so weak, and it's easily addressed by people because they thought that at one point as well, and then they just did a lot of research to understand why it is not that way. And so like that's why too, like it's very interesting to see like like how everything is debunked, and it doesn't make us stupid. It just makes it where like we just need to be more aware of our education systems now, what they're teaching, what we're believing, what our mainstream media is convincing us of, and it's the ones that are profiting off of this stuff. And so like if they see this, they see this as a threat. It's not a threat. Like us knowing the reality of the world more, like it's not a threat to anyone, right? It's actually like liberating. Like and so and then yeah, and with truth and honesty comes cooperation and progress and higher levels of consciousness. And this is why, like, I think if we can come together on this and acknowledge that, this reality that we're being led to believe is like not like the truth, then we can understand and unpack like the things like at a societal level more and come together on those things, because it's like, okay, really, like we need to like really like relook at like everything now. Like our system of government like clearly has failed us based on like what I'm mentioning today, like with this flat earth stuff. And pandemic response and the lies and being manipulated by like mainstream media that is only there to enforce false narratives and get out of this mess we're in a more cooperative manner, and there's a lot more truths I can't even say on here that impact and have impacted multiple different like groups within Canada for thousands of years. So not even just hundreds of years, but thousands of years, and it's multiple different groups. And there's just like a lot of stuff that we need to be honest about, be more open about, and share, and not hide it because we think it's a threat. And on that note, I hope that everyone has a great day.